Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Apex After Hours live from Champs. That's right, it's ALGS Championship Sunday. What a show that we just saw. TSM proves their dominance as a dynasty in Apex Legends with back-to-back-to-back wins to secure it. It's a pleasure to be joined alongside my man Zachmazer once again. And of course, for the very first time, a lot of you know him, some of you maybe don't. This guy is an absolute treasure of the Apex Legends community. It's none other than AyeJHawk himself. Do you want to do a quick intro for us, brother?
Yeah, I make YouTube videos talking about teams like TSM, how they do what they do. That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. Brilliant analyst in the scene as well. Helped make a lot of the content this weekend. Pleasure to be joining alongside you, Jay. I appreciate you joining us, man. First off, your first event, I want to start with you. Obviously, and TSM gets the win. How are you enjoying the event? And then right on top of that, what are your first impressions about this TSM win compared to the rest in general?
The event was amazing. I think anyone who's never been to a LAN, this is my first one, actually being in person was unlike any experience I've ever had. Like, it was a blast. You get to see players, coaches, the talent, all the fans, everything just gets crazy. The Dreamfire fans, it's just such a fun time. So highly recommend everyone at least try to go to one, because it's absolutely amazing. And then for TSM, I think this is their most impressive LAN win they've ever had.
Why is that?
So after 5 games, they had 16 total points. And there was, I don't know how many teams on match point by that point, but Optic was deep in there. FaZe, Dreamfire.
4 or 5 teams. LG, the Black Hand. I think that was it.
That's it. So we had multiple teams on match point. TSM's at 16 total points 5 games in. Like, that seems like it's disaster. And then we get that one Skyhook ending. They go and win that game. Then we go over to Stormpoint and they win back-to-back games, 3 wins in a row to close it out. Having to come from those depths, even the struggles that it took for them to get to the finals, like, it took that last game clutch for them to even make it through the winner's bracket. They could have gone to the loser's bracket, and who knows what that does to your mentals and how you proceed in that moment. We saw Dark Zero unfortunately crumbled there. The fact that TSM went through all that adversity, and then still won is insane.
Beyond impressive. And I have to completely agree with you. I think personally, it says a lot about Hal, his growth as an IGL, as a leader, as a person, his ability to stay composed compared to times past. Zach, you've been competing against him for a long time. You know him well. You're obviously an IGL for your teams. Talk about how much of an impact you think Hal had on their ability to stay composed going into Game 5.
Well, he has a lot of support in his system. We all know, we heard it yesterday, that reps make some pretty important calls and some pretty important moments as well. And I think that support system really, helped him out, and I think it showed a lot. One thing that neither of you guys brought up that I think was extremely important is we had Hal on the show yesterday, and one of the biggest things he said. Excuse me if I quote this wrong. I am drunk. Just full just letting that out there. I'm drunk as shit. But I remember Hal saying yesterday about like something to do with chemistry showing in the biggest moments of adversity, something along the lines of that. And 16 points going into Game fucking 5, close it out on like Game 8 or Game 9. Unreal. Those guys went back to back to back to close it out. That's something not only have we legitimately never seen before, but like the dominance over 3 games was something that we saw out of Optic actually in the first 3 games, but they couldn't close it out in Game 4. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, that is easily the most insane ending to a match point final we've ever seen. We watched the 16th place team win in 3 games on Game 8 or Game 9. That's fucking incredible. Yeah, that's incredible. Unbelievable.
First off, I think you're more well-spoken when you're 7 drinks in than you are normally, because that was brilliant and well said. I agree both of those points. Look, the question about how...
I'm fucked up. I'm fucked up. I need this water.
Yeah, we're going to have a couple more. But no, both of those points are phenomenal. I asked the question about Hal, but you're right. It's a support system. And if you guys have not seen that clip yet, I highly recommend going and looking at that clip. The respect he gave to Reps yesterday for his ability to co-IGL, make some really important calls. That actually was the call that allowed them to qualify not through losers bracket. Who knows? Maybe they pull a Dark Zero and they don't make it to the championship finals. Anything's possible, obviously, in a battle royale. And then, of course, it being the most impressive back-to-back-to-back win. I completely agree with that. Anything you'd add there?
Yeah, the fact that, Raven, he went up on stage afterwards, the interview, he says, listen, this isn't about all the strategies and the macro and all that stuff, because they kind of figured that out already. There was the beacon changes, which I know they weren't a big fan of, and yet they still overcame that.
Meta changes.
The meta changes
no
too,
seer.
with no seer, they overcome that. And Reps was one of the best seers in the world.
Yeah.
They get rid of him. You talk about his calls. That was a crucial point with TSM, was Reps having seer and all that information, what he was able to contribute, and he still was able to do it without seer, where a lot of other teams were not able to adjust without seer. There was a lot of teams that were playing scared. They didn't want to check certain spots because they didn't have that information. it's still just, it blows my mind.
Yeah, a lot of MNK players moving off of Sear, a lot of support players moving off of Sear over to Bangalore. I think that was the most popular swap that we saw through the meta. And I mean, Reps is an outstanding player. We've seen him play so many different legends over so long, everything from Fuse to Gibraltar to, good God, I think at one point he even played
Watson
fucking
Path
Maggie.
Wraith meta. Did he play Watson or did he play Path? He played Watson, right?
He played Watson. He's played it all. He's unbelievable.
We got Jen Burton, Papa Jen Burton. Everybody show some love to Papa Jen Burton. Love this guy. That's actually awesome. That guy's a legend. It's fantastic. But no, that's a good point. Yeah.
No.
Legend changes.
Guy's unbelievable. It'd almost be toxic in a way to doubt that he can't swap off Sear to whatever the fuck is asked from the meta. I mean, that kid's raw. Hopefully he doesn't retire for a very long time and he stays passionate. And hopefully he streams more because that guy's fucking nuts.
Damn straight. And look, I just tweeted this. I think a lot of people take disrespect, and I want to hear if you guys do, to a comment that he's Scottie Pippen, not MJ, but without Scottie Pippen, the Chicago Bulls don't do anything. He is 100% the X factor on this team, the underrated and underappreciated and unrepresented player that makes this team go around.
So here's the issue. I completely agree with you, and I understand what you're saying, but those 14K viewers that are watching a video game event might not know the basketball league. Unfortunately.
Especially like 17-year-old, sadly. But without Reps, this team does not perform the way they do. He still does not get enough recognition, and it's about time we put the respect on his name to make sure. I hope man's getting paid, unlike Scotty as well.
Reps getting paid.
All right, good. Good. Congratulations again to TSM, a dominant win. And then lastly, we talked about Reps, we talked about Hal. You mentioned a little bit about Raven. What about Verhulst? What do you think Verhulst brought to this team? Maybe that Snip3down didn't. And we'll get that question out of the way before Snip gets here. He's going to be here in a little bit.
I got something to say on this one, so you guys go first.
I think that Evan's versatility is also really underrated. The fact that everyone knows how versatile Reps is because we see it physically with like the character changes. Evan has had to change too. We think he was initially the fragger on the Valkyrie. He swaps over to the Catalyst. He's playing a more anchor role these days, and we've seen that with him, Jen Burton, a few other players have now swapped into that anchor role where they previously were not. And the fact that he's been able to do that, is willing to take a step back too and allow for his other two teammates to push a lot more forward, I think is incredibly impressive. I think he's the best controller player in the world. It's undisputed at this point. I mean, for all of their roles, they're probably the best in the world, the best team of all time. So I think that Verhulst and his addition to the fact that for 3 years, they had not won a LAN, and obviously COVID played a part in that, but they didn't have the same level of success that they did at the very beginning of the game. They add Verhulst, and they instantly do. They win that online Split 1 playoffs, and they go, and they win this year's Split 1 playoffs, and now champs. I mean, the guy's impact cannot be understated.
Completely agree with all those comments, but Zach, you have a take.
I do have a take. I think it's hard to say anyone other than Hal is the best controller player in the world. I mean, MVPs on top of IGLing, wall input swapping over all these years. I mean, saying anyone else is the best in the world other than that might be a little bit of a crazy statement. That guy has unfortunately literally done it all at once, managed all of it, and then still performed the best of everyone in the world now multiple times. So
on two inputs.
That guy,
two inputs.
Yeah. That guy is definitely the best. But I will say, I think Verhulst is easily the most consistent player right now, at least in the world. I don't think there's a more consistent player than Evan. I mean, his attitude, what he brings to a team, his consistency, which I just mentioned, and then on top of that, like he's really good vibes, man. He's always tying it together. When things go bad, I mean, he's
Patrick
Mahomes.
He's one of
the first guys. He's very wholesome. They win a game. He's good stuff. Like that's just him, man. That's his personality, and he's the GOAT for that. I don't think there's anyone more consistent right now than Evan in the whole world, including Hal. Evan is unbelievable.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Consistent, 100%. I think you have to state Hal's the best player in the world without a question. But I do agree that Verhulst is the most consistent player in the world. Look, Hal said it himself yesterday. He threw a few of their games, and he was a big part of the reason that they put themselves in a position where they almost didn't qualify for the championship final. And given a call that was from Reps in that last game 8, that's what allowed them to make it there. So he brings consistency, and I think I mentioned that in the tweet I posted too. He brings consistency to this team. That's what Verhulst brings the most. It's slaying power, and obviously being able to anchor as well, but consistency and composure. You meet Verhulst, you guys all know him. You watch his streams. One of the most composed, professional people. His approach, his acumen, every single event. I'm in the gym in the morning. He's there on the treadmill as well, preparing his preparation. It's impressive for how young he is, how composed he is, how structured.
Yeah, his life is very structured. And on top of that, how he handles like the hate and like the I don't want to call it adversity.
That blows my mind that there's hate towards him. How can
I'm talking from Hal.
Oh, from Hal. Okay.
I'm talking from Hal.
There are people on Reddit that like to hate.
There's a lot of people.
What?
There's a lot of IGLs that get really caught up in their emotion. Me being one of them, but it's just a really common thing in the Apex scene, and it's not easy being teammates of Hal or Design or Sweet or myself or Zero or anyone. It's not easy like when we lash out in that moment. It's really easy to lash out back, and Evan does an amazing job of cooling down those situations, not lashing out back at Hal, and he takes it well. He cools it down, and they have what seems to be a constructive situation almost every time. That guy cannot be. It cannot be understated how valuable Evan really is.
Yeah, that's a fact. We got a note from our production team to stop touching the table because I guess there's an issue and the mic's picking up. Apologies for any audio issues, y'all. And look, I wish we had the final clip. Our production has been actually insane. We hope you guys have appreciated the production. We invested a lot and had a huge team come and help. And a big shout out to AyeJHawk and BMic and Chrono for helping with production. But today we're down BMic. He's enjoying the day off with his family, which is well deserved. So we don't have that final clip, but I want to talk about that final clip because Hal blamed himself for making some kind of brain dead or bad plays, I think on Horizon. Horizon queued up, thought he had an ult and didn't. Yeah, again, losers on the winner's bracket round 1 or winner's bracket final matchup. But he's the one that makes the play with the Horizon queue to initiate a fight. And SAF was clueless there. He put him in a blender. He was the tip of the spear in that final fight. Break down that play for me, what you saw there.
Yeah, once TSM put the catalyst wall, they took a majority of the end circle, so it felt like they were already at advantage. They also had the high ground. They were the team that was waiting for all the other teams to finish what they were doing and come to them. And they're fighting Starterfight, who is using a more defensive comp, and in the space that they're in, the comp that TSM is running is going to win. I mean, you have Horizon and the other team doesn't. That's just such a game changer. And we talked about, all these different players' roles. All of that is enabling Hal to be the guy who entries and he opens and he's willing to take more risks. So we saw him, he took the Horizon Q, goes over the wall, lands on the other side, and then he starts it, his teammates come in and finish it. So, I mean, it was a great win from TSM. I'm still a little bit shocked that Starterfight did not end up dropping down on TSM earlier in the game when TSM killed the Dojo. I don't know how you guys felt about that moment. It did feel like Starterfight was just waiting for so long for there to be knocks, and the Dojo eventually does end up losing the fight. And there was one knocked on TSM. They allowed them to reset. I don't know the mindset behind it. They did have high ground for quite a bit longer.
I mean, you're overthinking it. They just made a mistake. They just made a mistake. I don't want to be. I don't want to talk down on Starterfight because they did an amazing job, especially coming from South America, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they did an amazing job, so I don't want to talk down on them at all. But no, that was absolutely a major mistake on them, which unironically ended up to the tournament ending. Congratulations, TSM. But no, that was a horrible mistake. They definitely are at a level of play where they should be capable of counting the knocks. They should be capable of counting the trades. And, being on high ground is advantageous all the way into the point that they were in the game. At that point in the game, it's actually no longer like a good thing.
Right.
Because if you have someone directly below you, you have to drop almost straight into them, right? And if you try to evac from height, that team underneath you can just look straight up and you're getting fried off that zip. Not all three of you are making it, right? So they actually really needed to get off the high ground at that point. TSM and Dojo gave them a perfect opportunity, a perfect out, honestly almost arguably a free win. It just comes down to a 3v3 blackhand, and then the game kind of plays itself out, right?
Yep.
Starterfight just didn't notice it, and unfortunately that's what it led to. But fortunately, we get another dub, so I'm not complaining.
Which, by the way, I got to put some respect in your name. I thought you'd be humble bragging by now, but you didn't. I'm impressed. You called it, man. You called TSM to win.
I did.
You called Optic to dominate yesterday. So Zachmazer, the analyst of the century. By the way, I literally sent emails to try and get this man on the analyst desk at this event. He would have done a fantastic job.
I just need a drink, apparently.
Apparently, that's all he needs. The most well-spoken drunk man of all time. Maybe that's why he's not on the analyst desk. No, congrats on the calls. You called it a really, really insane finish. But look, I want to actually mention that you guys talked about the Dojo fight. I'm glad you did. Look at this guy. He gets top 5. He looks kind of sad, and he comes beeline straight here to join the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Snip3down, Rona. You said you are sad?
Yeah, I am fucking sad.
Why are you sad, man? You got top 6, 5?
6.
6th place.
6 is good.
What's going on in 3 Monitor now?
I'm just sad. I don't know.
It's fair.
I just don't feel like we should have ended 6th. We had 2 games we should have won.
You guys played really well.
Could have won. Left some points on the board, and we got to match point and just did not play how we should have. So we made some errors and.
I don't think the zones were in your favor once you hit match point though. Were
they weren't at all.
Yeah, and on top of that, like with how you guys play and your guys' play style, it definitely wasn't an easy win for you, right? Whereas you saw some other teams like Blackhand landing right next to that end game. I mean, that's the part of Battle Royale, that's RNG, and you can't really beat yourself up over that because I'm sure if you got a fucking fish farm zone and you didn't win it, then yeah, beat your own ass, you got to capitalize on those. But those other ones are tough.
He's going to beat his own ass?
I'm beating myself up because Phony is historically one of the best endgame shot callers. We didn't win a game this whole tournament.
Wow.
I think we were the only team in that lobby that didn't win a game the whole tournament.
Wow.
So
do you put that on Phony or do you put that on your
No, I kind of put that on I don't know, me and Frex as well. We won games last event.
You're looking at it backward. You're looking at it completely fucking backward, bro. If you have arguably one of the best, because it's how if you say the best, but if you have arguably one of the best endgame IGLs and you don't win a single game, you're looking at it backwards, bro. That means that you guys played unbelievably in the mid game, in the early game to get 6th in grand finals with the consistency that you had over the tournament. You hit the drawing board on some of those end games, boom. I mean, you're putting point averages up that no one could rival. You had it completely backward. If Phony's great in endgame, you didn't win a game. Cheers, bro. Hit the drawing board. You guys did amazing. Boom. You're at the top.
This would have been back-to-back events that we would have gotten top 4 or higher had we came through the winners bracket and had any points to start.
Right. Yeah. You guys put yourself in that spot.
Yeah, I mean, we did. I don't want to go to the losers bracket.
Yeah.
That's twice now that we've kind of we didn't botch it last event. We tie-breaked, lost the tiebreaker for 11th or for 10th. So it is what it is. But we ended either 16th or 18th, I think, in winners bracket finals, and it's we go like this. We had a 45 point
motherfucker,
and then an 11
just
point,
about to
and
say
then
the
a
same
55 point to make it, and then winners bracket finals we dropped 20 something in 8 games, or we dropped 30 points in 8 games, and then losers bracket finals we dropped 55, and then we played really well. I think I do think I'm not disappointed. I do think the first 5 games we played really well. I wish Optic would have just fucking pushed NRG at the end, at the end of game 4. You could tell that they were oh boy.
Ended the game? You wish they ended the game? What place were you in?
NRG, we were in third. We were in third by a decent amount.
Yeah.
And NRG just fought a team. Noct was weak. He got a blue armor swap. The other 2 were full shields, and they just sat back instead of pressuring on top of them. You know where that game ended, the north pad ending. Right. They could have climbed up on those railways, gotten the height on them. Yeah. They could have surrounded them, and instead they let NRG collapse on them and bring the end game to them. And you could just tell that they were a little bit, oh shit, this is it. If we win this, in the moment, it was those are the differences between Optic and TSM. They would be on their head instantly saying
well, they had another chance.
They did have another
in
chance.
Wall.
You play on your back foot, someone's going to bring the game.
But in that game too, they got the first knock. Optic did. They had a 3v2 and they still lost.
It was an instant trade. It was an instant trade.
It was an instant trade. But they let NRG climb.
Sweet had no shield.
That was a mistake.
They let NRG got height. Get on them. Noct got the first knock, but they just let them take their height, and then they're shooting down at them.
They had a shield disadvantage too. Well, minus Sweet had no shield, so they didn't have a shield disadvantage. But they had blue shields, I think.
It was blue, purple, red.
Yeah,
they shield swapped.
I don't consider 25 to 50 damage any bit of a.
So they shield swapped and got better shields because they I don't know if you know, but they rotated hella early, obviously.
Yeah, it was the zone right next to them. I saw the zone. I was Optics.
Optics
very much.
Yeah, they put themselves in the right spot, but they had no shield until obviously they shield swapped at the end there. But you're right. I mean, Optic could have closed it out right there. Would have been a crazy finish. Instead, yet again, we have a TSM win. Good or bad for the scene, Eric? In your eyes.
Good.
I think it's bad. Genuinely. I mean, TSM has tons of fans. I mean, it's good because TSM is the largest fan base, but I'm not. It's not bad. I don't want to see this as a negative.
It's bad for me and you.
Negative.
It's good for the scene.
It's good for the scene. It's not a negative, but it would have been better had another team like Dreamfire won. I would have loved to see a Blackhand or a Dreamfire.
Yeah.
If TSM didn't win and we didn't win, I would have loved to see a Blackhand or a Dreamfire win because that only is going to accelerate the scene more than TSM winning again.
That's facts.
So it's not a negative. Both positives, regardless.
100%. Especially a Dreamfire, an MDY White in a region that people have no idea how big that the Greater China region is. China, Taiwan, etc. massive. I think it would have done numbers. Rowie is huge on Chinese streaming platforms. He pulls in just as many views as Hal. So I agree with that. I think that would have been great for the scene. Ultimately, obviously TSM winning, I think we'll agree is not bad at all. But hey, look, you got a lot to be proud of, man. Top 6, you guys played well. You couldn't finish, which is really interesting. But at the end of the day, I know that there's a Snipe Downs channel. For those that are not part of Snipe City right now, or those that are maybe subscribing and becoming part of Snipe City, show love to Snipe right now. Everyone that watches him every day, people that came from Halo back in the day, like I did. I know you guys are proud of him, and you should be proud as well, Eric. He played really, really well. You showed up in the finals.
I continuously with the Prowler.
Yeah, with the Prowler. You played out of your mind.
No, that was nuts. You were fucking feeling it.
Game 1, I think.
When you died, you just stood up instantly. Yeah, no, you were fucking.
You were feeling it, bro. You were feeling it.
If Drop didn't get that red swap, you killed him, and you hit the other guy like 75 flesh. That was your win. It was a really smart swap by Drop when he didn't need it. He was like 75 perp, and he swapped to a red.
Oh, is that who I shot as he slid to the right? Because I thought
the guy that swung to the right, that guy that killed you in the end was 200. It was like 210 health, and he swapped a red. And he had 75 health on purple. He just made it was just a smart play.
Yeah, and it's funny. I say I'm sitting here as the biggest hypocrite of all time, saying show some love to Snipe Down. Meanwhile, I continue to disrespect him and FaceClan by keeping them out of my top 10 predictions.
You actually did. I don't think you predicted us doing well. Ever.
I did never once.
I want to speak to that though. I feel like.
By the way, I had to take off his hoodie because this guy was repping the entire time in the front row.
He's our number one right here. For real.
Here's what I'll say though. I do think that I understand why you're disappointed because talking to you about last lane, you guys were talking about leaving points on the board and how you feel like you could have done better. But a lot of people still doubted you despite the fact that you got top 5 last lane. And so
people are still going to doubt us now.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, the reason is that it's the consistency issue.
We don't have the
you show up in finals every time.
We don't have the insane individual players that some of these other teams have that do the crazy plays like the How and the Zero and Jen Burton and the effects. We don't have that. So
you play as a team.
I've seen this for over a decade now. The flashier the players on the team are, the more people in the community and the public are going to get behind those teams. If you're just like the Spurs in the NBA when they were ahead of Dynasty, people didn't like them because they weren't fun to watch. They were just fundamentally the best team. That's where we are as a team. We are fundamentally sound.
That's a great point.
But we're not.
I'm glad you're saying that too, because I won't say it. I will say it because you won't. You obviously wouldn't say it about yourself. But people continue to put so much disrespect on your name. I just gotta be real, and you say the same thing. Right? Everyone always likes to say, Snipe Down leaves TSN to get better, or he's washed, he's old, he's this, he's that.
I'm incredibly disrespected.
It's insane how disrespected you are, in my opinion, by people that don't recognize.
I think a big aspect of that disrespect comes from a lot of people outside the scene, and even some people inside the scene. Actually, majority of people inside the scene don't actually realize how valuable it is to have a structured, respectful, consistently building teammate. You don't always need 3 Imperial Hows. You don't need 3 effects. You can have a really sound, structured environment with strong mechanical players that aren't going to be the most flashy, the best player in the world. But you put the right players together, and it's how you build properly, right?
And it shows. At the end of the day, Alliance in Effect, top 18, I think. The flashy pickup, phase back-to-back top 6 finishes. So again, kudos to you. Well, the last thing I want to ask on that note, and then we're going to show the leaderboards in a second. But the last thing I want to ask, why the inconsistency? That's what got me not predicting you guys is the inconsistency. What is causing the highs to be so high and the lows to be so low? I wouldn't say the lows are that low. The lows are pretty mid.
We're not a slay-heavy team. So when we're not rotating the right way, we're not getting the kills either. We need to find the balance of. We still have not found the balance of when to play for KP because we're always trying to get a spot or force something that might not be good. There were a couple times this tournament where there were teams under us that were in bad spots, and we're trying to force a wall inside instead of just guaranteeing the KP plus placement points and then maybe getting more out of that. And I think that's. I don't know if Phony maybe Phony's not as confident in our fighting ability or what it is as an IGL because that comes down to him. But I think there's definitely. We got 5th and 6th. We're a brand new team. There's a lot of improvements still to be made, and I think that we have a bright future. So,
I had something to say on that. Actually, this is just an idea. This may not be true. You can disagree or agree. It's all good. But outside of Optic and Furia, a couple lands ago, right? They are outliers in my opinion. The early rotate. It seems to be a playstyle that's super, super, super strong in match point. And I think that's one of the things that you guys excel at. Definitely Phony excels at. And that's why you guys are going to continue after this to show up time and time again in these match point formats. But like in these group stages where it can get a little bit more scrappy, it can get a little bit more messy. You're seeing like 11 squads, 12 squads, zone 2, zone 3. It's a different game, and I think Phony probably excels more in that more structured grand final style environment. And I think there's other IGLs that do the same thing, like Zero and so on and so on. So that was one of the things that I was like, well, their mids are mid, but it doesn't mean they suck. It just means the lobby isn't playing out how they excel. They can play a certain style and they dramatically excel at that. If they can't do that in a certain lobby, they're gonna suck a little bit.
I mean, this is like what happened. We are better when the best teams, I think, are in the lobby. Even though we didn't show it in the winners bracket finals, I feel like that was kind of an outlier. We had our games, but winners bracket finals, like it was 7 out of 8 zones that weren't in our favor, and the 2 zones that were in our favor, we didn't have Beacon. Like that series was incredibly unlucky.
Zones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that series was incredibly unlucky for us. So I genuinely think we are just a team that does better when teams are playing smarter. We're able to rotate properly. We kind of are able to predict more of what's happening with teams around us, and I think this is why I picked Phony up in the first place. I think he's top 5 IGL.
Yeah,
like
I agree with you.
Anything he says, I am all aboard to. Like I know people have questioned me and counter calling and all this crap. I think that's just a false narrative.
Even with FaZe, they question it. Even with FaZe, they question it, or with Hal?
It's just me in general. Like what snipe down? He just counter calls. He causes this drama and internal. I'm just like whatever. Like I don't think that narrative has been as strong as it was previously. But yeah, I mean, Phony, like we live and we die by his calls, and we have no issue with that at all. So.
AJ, final thoughts on FaZe?
I do want to add to you talking about you're better when the best teams are in the lobby. I feel like even in winners bracket, it's not the same as match point because there reaches a point where the teams at the bottom, the teams at the top don't have pressure anymore. Like there's certain teams that realize like we're not going to qual, so they just start trying to take every fight possible to try and get the massive KP game that might send them through. And the teams at the top, once you reach in the 8 game sets that like low 40s point mark, you kind of realize like you're going to qual and you might have 2 games left, so the pressure's not there anymore. So you're not playing the same way you would in a match point lobby where every placement matters for prize money. And then having to reach match point, you got to worry about those teams close it out because there's always a chance you could come back like TSM just did. And so I do think that y'all's play style is very much suited to those specific kind of lobbies. And like you said, you just quite haven't found that balance of how to turn it on when the lobby isn't like that yet.
Yeah, find the other play style that fits the other lobbies, right? There's definitely an aspect of that that's really important. There's some other teams that have that balance a little bit more fit out that have been teams longer than you guys have, right? And I think that'll just come with time. It'll be fine. It'll work itself out. I think we should probably move on to the leaderboard, though.
That's right.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about FaZe.
Co-host.
We talked
a lot about
TSM.
That's right. It's time to move on to the leaderboards. Thank you, my co-host, Zach. This guy's a natural. Just look at this guy.
I'm so drunk. I need another water.
That's all you need. Look at this guy, man. First off, I was going to mention...
I need a water. I don't need that.
Here's your water. Dezignful pulls up from the dojo. This is a great next discussion. We talked about it a little bit, and I was going to say this on stream, but then we talked about other things. Eric walked in. The dojo. I saw Dezignful. He immediately bolted out of the venue, needed a breather because this guy holds a high standard for himself, and he believes that he should be the ALGS champion right now. Dezignful, you told me what happened. Break it down, man. You versus TSM. You guys had a chance to take TSM out and win the tournament potentially. You take that spot. What happened?
That's all good. I'm going to leave now. No, there was just a lot of fights today that just came down to just lack of playtime together, inexperience being with each other. And, the story was there. It was there for the grabbing, but... I
think the story still happened, to be
fair.
I think it panned out,
Sometimes wide swings are hit, and I'm usually the one doing it, so I couldn't be too mad. I mean, 4th place. We'll fucking take it.
For those that don't know, what happened with the wide swing?
That's his personality.
That wasn't him.
No, we were. TSM was pushing up the spider cave in zone, wasted all their ults, and all we had to do was stay on the height. And, I mean, literally right in wall, I was screaming that it was Digi Day. And enemy, panicked because, not really panicked, but he saw that they were all stuck in the corner. So instead of just waiting for them to have to walk out of that corner, he swung all the way into the open. And they were all just pre-aiming it with digis. And,
instant knocked.
Yeah.
That happened.
I fucking slammed the desk and, because I knew. That was.
Did you know it was TSM?
No, after I saw it was them, I knew the tournament was over.
Wow.
That was the fight.
They win from there every time.
There were so many times we were literally in the God spot, and it was just, there was an unfortunate couple mistakes, but I think I made like the best calls and like macro rotates of my fucking life today. So,
no, you guys played insane. You guys played insane. On top of that, like they said, bro, like while it did line up, it was possible.
Way better IGL than Zach. On God.
I'll give you that for now, bro. I'll give you that for now.
For now.
Yeah, for now. Don't get that confused.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, go ahead. You're gonna say.
You guys, you all three made some great calls. It does suck on that wide swing that last game, and I'm sure it was fucking miserable for you to watch it out because you knew from the get-go the second you hit that death recap and you saw it was their names.
Oh yeah, the admins were like, "Put your headphones back on." I'm like,
Dude, you're like, it's fucking over, man.
They told me that too, and I was like,
oh no.
I saw where TSM was. I was like, they always win from there.
No,
like,
it's
we
over.
literally. So
And that's your spot.
No.
Fight.
No, I know that somebody's gonna play in there. So we peeked it. We saw there was a team in there. We crafted medkits and wall. We wide wrapped all the way around. Came down from like the prowler side of lightning rod. We had 4 medkits each or 3 medkits each. Popped the medkits. Walked in for free. Triple purple, and then we set up right in front of the fucking spider cave. I was like, if we just sit here, the height, like they can like extend all the way over and shoot us, but they're not supposed to do that. Like that's not a good idea. I was like, we just gotta fucking kill this team, man. The spider team, like this is easy. Like,
Nah, that was the fight for the win. You knew it. You knew it.
And here's what I gotta say is, you and I talked about when we were outside a little bit. First off, you should be proud, man. It's an insane finish, top 4, first event as a team.
Proved them
Great
wrong.
story. Proved everybody wrong, dude. You got top 4 finish at the
You earned-
ALGS championship.
you earned
Being
it.
an LCQ team. It's insane.
CC team.
CC team. You were a team for a month, if even that. It's crazy. But at the end of the day, enemy swing. Look, he's a 17, maybe just turned 18-year-old high schooler.
He was fucking going crazy. He literally
played
killed
nuts.
all of KCP on like one of our rotates in. He's like 1 dead, 2 dead, all dead, and we're like, all right, for sure. Like, I mean, there was a couple. The thing is like that's why I couldn't get mad. He's like old me. He'll clip like 3 people in a row. And he'll just fucking black out. It's the controller thing. It's just a thing when you're like younger. You play like when you're playing competitive. Like once you like hit like 3 1-clips in a row,
Start seeing red.
Yeah, you black out.
You start seeing red.
It's hard,
Especially with adrenaline hits, hard to control it. Future's bright for that young man. AJ, final thoughts on the dojo before we jump to scoreboards?
I thought it was a crazy run. Like, there's so many questions about could y'all's playstyle actually work on land, the alliance contest, building up of effect and all this stuff.
That was not. You
guys, you come to land, you handle the contest. First off, I do want to ask you on, winners bracket game 7. Why did y'all decide to go back to thermal? Because y'all were struggling kind of up until that point. Those final 2 games, you go to thermal, you kill alliance, momentum swings.
So I played to the boys. They wanted to. So in scrims and shit, they contested him a bunch with like a sub.
Yeah.
And like they just weren't feeling confident. But like I was always like not there, or like Timmy wasn't there. And the score was pretty even when it was just us the actual rosters 3 versus 3. But I was landing on the height, and then they would 3v2 down low and I would drop late. And then eventually I was like, I'll just land down low with you guys. And we started slamming. I'm like, well, just take the straight up fight. And we played the Sky East. I played the safe route, and then Game 7 came around, and I was like, listen, guys, this is only winners. Worst case, we go to fucking losers.
Yep.
We've been playing like pussies. And the results show.
Jeez.
Like we're in fucking 19th place. We should not be here.
You know the POI well. You've contested that for
I
literal
said that.
years.
I said, let's let our nuts hang. Well, worst case, we go to losers and run it all the way back up. Like, let's just fucking ball out. Like, ball the fuck out. Let's go. And they were fucking down. They rode out. They fucking teed up. I didn't even go crazy in the contest. I got like the first knock, but then I traded myself because I didn't know effect was on height. But no, Timmy and enemy actually more so was fucking teeing off on those fucking contests. So.
Timmy with the PK.
Yeah, he hit the PK twice.
Dude, the first one today, they had purple, blue, fucking
Yeah.
everything. Neither of my teammates had a gun. I had a rampage and did like 300 damage on them queuing up. It was crazy. I was just LT spamming like Fortnite.
Yeah, that's too funny. But well, look. At the end of the day, man, a remarkable run for the dojo. And I gotta say for you specifically, man. Look, I've been casting you now for 4 years. I used to love hyping up the aim assist boys, coming from PlayStation to PC, and that narrative. Your journey has been so up and down, and at so many points you could have given up. You became kind of a villain for some, in Apex, and you're one of the most outspoken and best personalities we're lucky to have you in the scene. And the fact that you were able to ride your way back to the top after struggling alongside this bald man for a bit.
First time on land, because enemy last
wait,
time he went out.
Was this your first? No, wait, what?
Well,
This time is
I
first
went
time.
out in like fucking 38th. Enemy went out in like 38th, and like that's just like a confidence thing, you know.
Yeah.
You're unsure. Like
Yeah,
I
that was
went
a
out
champs last
early,
year, right?
Enemy went out early. Timmy never went to land.
That's right.
My big what if was like, are we going to have the confidence to do this? But I mean, Bronzy, big part of it, and the boys just fucking locking in and just not caring. Like,
That's awesome.
I feel like they were confident.
Every game, I was like, everybody's fucking scared. Let's go. Ice in the veins. Last 30 minutes of your fucking life. Every match. Let's go. That's the
hype he brings, man. It's the Dezignful hype. Yeah, that's insane. And that is exactly right. It's a team and a roster. And I don't know if you saw my tweet before the thing went live, but it's a team and a roster of everyone who's faced adversity in their career. Even Enemy in his young career, he was like next up. He was the rising star. I called him the rising star award of Split 1 with Oxygen. He was insane. And then he goes to land and get shit on. And you got 38th.
Oh, yeah. By the way, can I put a thing out there?
Yep.
It was not my call to fucking rat TSM. I felt
They
horrible.
were so pissed on
Bro,
Twitter
I
about
felt so fucking bad. I was like, Timmy, this is fucked. He's like, just land on me. Like, we're gonna do this. And I was like, all right, fine, dude.
You want to hear something funny? So I'm in the crowd, right? Because I can't qual because I'm a piece of shit. And
In wall,
I'm laughing
bro.
my ass
Timmy
off.
made me land in wall with him, and we just sat there on the steps and waited for Hal to come up. Dude.
Wait, we got to skip the story because we got to go to leaderboards. I'm sorry, Zach.
Okay.
I'm sure it's a funny story, but I'm sorry. I think it's a
Well,
drunk
no,
story.
I
don't think it's
thought
gonna
it was
contribute anything
Design's
to the
call
broadcast.
because I didn't let him contest them.
No,
in
okay,
the,
maybe it's
I
about
didn't
this.
want to fuck with it. I even wanted to let them grab banner, but like realistically, we need the fucking.
I thought it would
like,
be
all
for sure
fair
his
and
call.
competitive. Like,
Yeah,
but,
I'm getting worried for production. We got to move on to the leaderboard here. But now, kudos to the dojo, like you said. An Enemy actually. Yeah, exactly. He sees
People
the
keep
Discord.
showing up. We
And-
ended up. You showed up.
Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Let's take a look at the rest of the stories here. We have to talk about Optic. We have to talk about Blackhand. Blackhand, the most consistent team this weekend.
If I didn't die to
Yes.
zone, could pass them.
You agree with that?
Absolutely.
100%.
They were.
No,
I mean,
those
absolutely.
guys. As soon as I knew it was gonna be Digi Day, I was like, ooh. Thank God it didn't switch until like the last game because if it was Digi Day all day today, Blackhand would have ran a fucking.
And for those that maybe
Train
are newer to Apex and don't understand, Digiday obviously in the crafter, but these three play on mouse and keyboard, and they play Bangalore, Watson.
Yeah, buff controller. Basically.
It's right. Yeah, buff controller, totally. And the Digi threat in game on 3 MNK players with Bangalore smoke, nerfing aim assist and controller is massive, and obviously they took that to their advantage. They played really well all weekend. Kudos and shout to them. Eric, of this list right here, which team do you want to talk about? What obviously not FaZe, not TSM.
I can't believe we only took 300 damage of zone.
Oh wow.
How much damage
from
did we
Climatizer?
You guys
took the most.
You guys always take the most. 3.8K. You guys love to rap.
You
Is that
took
you?
all top 5
We always got our
combined.
fucking
Love
sunglasses on.
Yeah,
son.
that's right.
Bro, like,
Eric, pick one
Sunscreen.
team. Pick one team. What? Who do you want to talk about?
he's only can pick 2 teams. Bro. Him and
Yeah, basically,
We've already talked about Dojo, TSM,
FaZe.
Optic.
us, Blackhand. You guys talked about Optic?
Yeah.
You barely talked about
a
Blackhand.
little bit.
No, we did not talk about Optic. Barely, yeah.
Pick Optic or Blackhand.
I
That's
mean,
your option.
I wish I knew more about Dreamfire, bro. The support that team has is so like commendable at these tournaments because
Yeah.
obviously all the EU teams have insane support because we're in Europe, but
Right.
the support that like Dreamfire has and some of these other teams, it's just like
That first game
it's
had me nervous.
awesome to hear in the stands.
That first game had me fucking or second game with Dreamfire, that shit had me nervous.
Dude,
they
they
were
got 43 points in like
Yeah, they dropped
after
like
the
a
second
20
game.
kill,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was pretty wild.
I was terrified.
And then on top, I think we had, I might be faded. I think we had 7 teams in the finals, right? What are the 5 of them are top 6?
Yep.
That's impressive. NA is still on top, but Apex South, big showing. I mean, the Moist guys are insane. Didn't have the best placement today, but those guys are insane. Dreamfire, I would say that's a great placement. And then Blackhand, of course. I mean, those guys are fucking nuts. Apex South, big showing.
And I do want to add on Apex South, Ironblood Gaming getting 10th. They were also an LCQ team, and the fact that they made this run as well. I've already seen some people start talking about Apex South deserves more spots because they only get 5 for each LAN. I think they do because I mean they've proven that. I mean, this might be a hot take to y'all, but I think they're the second best region in the world.
It's not even close.
I don't think it's a conversation.
I don't even think it's close.
Yeah.
I think it's NA and then Apex South. For sure.
Yeah, it's not close.
If
It's
they,
definitely them.
if they still had Dark Zero, easily.
Oh,
Easily.
yeah.
They could all.
It's
yeah.
it's even. Then.
Yeah.
That's what I said the other day, yeah.
Yeah,
But they
no.
don't, so.
They
yeah.
don't.
NA on
We're
top.
definitely,
I mean, this
a
is,
little
I
bit
mean, how
strong.
many
We're
times have we
definitely a
seen
little bit
NA
stronger.
at the top of the leaderboards? I mean, we got 3 of 5, or 4 of 5 in the top and 5 of 6 in the top 6. I mean, last event it was top 5 was all NA. So when it comes down to the finals lobbies, I think the NA teams know how to put the points on the board and get to match point
Yeah, we know how
better
to
than
pop
other
those
teams.
blue
do.
shoes.
And in
get
groups,
fucking
man.
bricked.
And in
Oh.
groups. I just a dominant region
Yeah.
right now.
Hard.
And in groups.
Stay hard.
3, like I said, 3 Apex South teams on this list, though. 3 out of 7 Apex South teams that qualified, 7 total, obviously, for this event, in the top 10. IBG slipping in the top 10, for me, I think is, tip your hat to that, over the legs of Alliance and NRG and a few others. KCP always performs in the final. Whenever Nasky makes it to the finals, he performs. Split one.
True. It's probably playstyle oriented.
I mean, that one time they got carried by Rambo hard.
Yeah, Rambo played out his mind.
Dude, the
top 4 at ALGS Champs last year? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just happy.
He fucking stole a game from us. The very first game at the Waterfall of Cascades. He was a rat and he's soloing up.
That was insane. That was my favorite call of all time. The Rambo was a monster call. Yeah, that was he played up his own. But overall, KCP always finds a way to show up. Like FaZe, I think both of them always show up in the finals. So a really, really solid job from them. I'm also just happy that 3 of our 4 people coming to this Greece after party placed top 10 and made some money because we're
my bad on the last one.
What last one?
Yuki.
Oh yeah, you fucker. That's right. This guy just showed up.
Bro, they said they were going east. They said they were going fragment east.
I know.
I asked him in the walk-in too. I was like, "You guys pulling a fast one on us?"
Did they?
No.
You
They
didn't know?
They did. No. They said they're going.
They told me yesterday. I thought they told you.
No. Oh yeah, for sure. They're gonna tell me.
They didn't update the.
I thought they updated it.
No,
They didn't.
We all know.
Yeah, no, they actually told everyone.
The thing is, we knew first game because it makes the most sense. If you can stop that momentum first, if you're gonna contest, you do it first game,
or you don't do it.
Yeah, you take the fucking momentum and keep running with it, or you just don't fucking do it. But like, I'm pretty sure like the third time I was just like, whoa, these guys are still fucking coming here.
Yeah, after the second, the first one was a landslide. The second one was a little bit closer, but you guys still, it was one.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like you guys just lost pretty hard. It's
like,
match point format. You know it's going to go probably 7 or more games. Just arguably go somewhere else. You don't want to place bottom 5.
I think like 5 of the 8 times they were landing before us. Like they were killing us on the jump master, and we were still winning. So I was like, why are these guys coming back? Like, what's going on?
And they didn't have good storm point games on games 3 or 4 too, which is why it was really confusing that they went back after the switch back to World's Edge. Because I mean,
it's always going to be a thing, man. Hockey has just as big of an ego as me going. Like I'm sure next land there's.
And that's been their spot. Like it's been your spot. It's been their spot since day one. There's no way. There's no way they're going to go from playing an edge team in Thermal Station to being Monument and being lost. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. But ultimately, you guys handled logistics. Again, Dojo in 4th place. Congratulations to them. We actually have a clip. From Dojo. I didn't think we were going to have clips tonight because we're short beaming, but Chrono, AyeJHawk's the best. Let's take a look at this clip from It's Timmy. Never mind. He said he's ready in Discord and he lied to me. He's not ready. We do not have a clip from Discord anymore.
The chat wants us to talk about energy. Apparently we haven't talked about
We should talk about it. I was actually going to flip to the second page.
Well, we need a second page to talk about energy.
Let's flip to the second page first. We are not going to talk about this clip. I was led astray via our Discord. We have Ascendant in 11th, Moist in 12th, E6 13th, SAF representing South America in 14th, Energy all the way down in 15th place. What went wrong for Energy?
I mean, the biggest surprises here are Energy and Oxygen, honestly. I don't think Alliance is a huge surprise because they chose to contest.
Moist somewhat is too. They chose to contest, yeah. Go ahead.
It was Alliance or Dojo top 5 and whoever won.
Yeah, honestly. I mean,
took the momentum and ran.
And they smoked them, so... But Energy and Oxygen, I think, are the 2 biggest surprises. Moist is always, they've ended around there, I think, a couple times.
I would have expected them to do a little bit better, man. They're fucking insane. But I'm not gonna it's not like 12th is a bad placement for the teams that they're going up against. I mean, this is the top 20 at the end of the day. But Moist is insane.
I think the surprise with Energy comes from the fact that they won a game.
Yep.
They won a game and got 15th, which is.
And at that point, they were sitting
33 points total.
They were in the top 5, yeah. They were in the top 5 after that, and then after that, I don't think they got more than 3 points in a game.
After that, they got 1 point the remaining 4 games.
Every game they got 1 point?
No. 0, 0, 1,
Oh,
0.
wow. That's very unusual.
That's momentum. It's just 1-0. You get in your head a little bit. Some shit happens, and it's hard to sometimes jump out of that pit. That's fucking tough, bro. 1 point in 4 games.
Yeah. Another big story here. Realize gets top 10.
That's Zachmazer numbers.
I'm happy for Realize.
We talk a lot about NA. We got to show love to APAC North. Realize gets top 10. Yeah, proud of them as well. They played well, consistent throughout the weekend. A top 10 finish is solid, but overall, I think the reality is there's a lot of APAC North fans. They were contested by KCP, and KCP actually won almost all of those contests.
KCP I want to see KCP versus freaking Dojo here on the contest right now.
Yeah, they're both flying high. That'd be sick. You have Zane on your team. You have Enemy and
Design. We have 2 controllers. They have 1.
Zane was pretty good.
But the overall story for APAC North is 12 Rex in 17th, Enter Force in 20th. Realize gets top 10, but only 3 APAC North teams here. They continue to be just a step behind other regions, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, that's where that argument that Jhawk was making earlier, does APAC South deserve more slots? And if they do deserve more slots, they have to disappear from someone else. They can't just spawn in more. Who does it come from? the argument has to be made, unfortunately, for APAC North. I think
it's not a surprise this line.
Not a surprise.
Really?
Because this is the most team fight meta, and APAC North plays zone, bro. They play like Crypto, Watson, all those comps, like Newcastle. They're playing the zone comps, you know.
Right.
They're not playing that. There's only maybe like 1 or 2 teams that play that fighting comp, but they still incorporate like the Newcastle and all that stuff. They just haven't adapted to that. Just run it down mid, you know. It's a very zone play style region. So
Is that why you think Fnatic didn't qual? Because they were the shock of
no,
APAC
those guys
North.
are fighters.
they're the fighters. So them not being
Some
there.
went wrong.
If anyone was going to place well, it would have been Fnatic for sure.
Right.
But them going out early was unfortunate.
Gombury Tucson goes out in 34th or something along those lines.
Reception too.
Yeah, and reception as well. Yeah, so it's interesting. Really interested to hear what happens with ALGS Year 4. They obviously announced ALGS Year 4 is coming, and they actually included the word fall this fall.
I saw that.
And it's coming sooner than that. I thought it'd be not until December or a little later.
I've heard a couple leaks or something.
There are some rumors, none of which are confirmed. I can say that confidently. That Pro League was potentially starting all the way in January, and if that happened, holy shit, we all would have been bored.
Now that they said fall, can't happen.
But they said
so I
fall.
assume fall is gonna be late fall, which is November. That's why I
That
said
sounds great. What is that? A month and a half?
It's not
a
too
month and a half
bad.
off.
That's
2
what
months.
2 months.
That's less
2.5
time than
months.
it's split.
We'll take that.
This year started.
AJ, you obviously you study the scene a lot. I want to tap off on that APAC North conversation. Do you disagree with the design coming into this tournament? Did you think APAC North was going to perform? Be honest and tell us why.
No. And I feel bad saying that, but last lane I was way more confident because I believe that Fnatic actually had a chance to really take the whole thing. They obviously in the finals they don't end up doing that. And the fact that Fnatic was 10th last lane when they didn't, I love all of the rest of APAC North, but Fnatic to me is really the only team that I could see actually like doing it on match point. And so they didn't do it. They lose a few spots. North Eption made a lot of changes. Riddle made changes. There were just so many teams coming into this lane from APAC North that were poaching players, and it led to a bunch of different stuff going on that, no, I was not the biggest believer in APAC North, and I'm not super surprised.
CR or is CR?
Crazy Raccoon, yeah, they were supposed to come to the landing. Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it was Raz, right?
Yeah,
And
which
military
it's a shame that they weren't able to be here too, because Crazy Raccoon probably out of any Apex org has probably the biggest fan base in the world.
Did Pulverex make it because they didn't? Who made it because they didn't?
It was Area 310. Yeah, which they were the 3rd place LCQ team, and then they got signed. I don't know what the team name was, but they got signed because they were coming to champs.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Any other thoughts on NRG? We mentioned, I think we didn't talk too much about it, but a lot of people thought coming in, they dominated the lower bracket finals, farmed. And then
We all said top 5. We had to do
also top
predictions
5,
yesterday.
yeah.
We almost every one of us put them in our top 5.
Staging.
You think staging is the reason they didn't do good?
I don't think
Staging nerfed
bad
him.
with the beacon
This
changes.
guy's a legend.
Thank you.
Appreciate
I
you,
think with
Josh.
the beacon changes, I think
saying
checkpoints suck.
I think, at the end of the day,
I think checkpoints versus staging.
at the end of the day, we don't know until we hit the VOD.
There's so many better POIs for like a respectable team like NRG on World's Edge that they should not be stuck at fucking staging.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong with that. Countdown is probably a solid one for them to go for.
Yeah, interesting.
I think vibes had a lot to do with it. He mentioned they got 1 point in 4 games, and as a spectator, I remember seeing Sweet freaking out after one of the deaths, and it was rightfully so. If I remember correctly, Nathan kind of threw it pretty hard.
It was Walty yesterday said he sat next to NRG and he's never heard worse vibes in his entire life. Sweet just screaming.
Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it doesn't. We all have to watch the VODs, and that'll tell. But for the time being, that's the only thing I have to really say. Maybe that had something to do with it. 1 point in 4 games, something had to crash.
Yeah. So
right.
back to the.
I'm going to bring this up because this is the hot topic of NRG, and I've thought about this question so many times. Do you think they make a roster change?
No shot. No way.
I don't know who
shot.
they could get that would be an upgrade.
It's not about an upgrade. It's just about how good their current roster is. I don't even think you
That's
think
what I'm saying.
of an
I
upgrade.
don't think you can fit. I don't know who would be better for that team.
I think Shiny coming on as a coach when Sweet didn't want to have a coach for a long time is going to help them in the long term. They got to work on consistency, and ultimately they make no change. They have a great roster. They picked up Gildersons. They stole him from Liquid or Xset. I think they need to ultimately work on their consistency, and I think their consistency and lack thereof is caused by lack of vibes and kind of the ups and downs of that for them. And then also preparation practice, which I think Shiny's going to help with. That's my take. Anyone else disagree?
I think a roster change would be a mistake.
Yeah.
It depends when Pro League starts. I mean, there's honeymoon phases with rosters. It's a very common thing in Apex. You could argue Dojo's going through one right now, or they're going to be consistent like this forever. Who knows?
You say they're going through a roster change?
You sipping that Haterade?
No,
Where was our honeymoon?
Oh,
where was our
honeymoon.
honeymoon?
Where's the honeymoon?
Never fucking happened.
It did not happen.
Never fucking happened. This guy's sipping Haterade.
All right, so
back to what I was
Nate just tweeted an hour ago, well, GG's TSM just the greatest to do it. Do I run it back year 4 or is that it for me?
There's a lot of players who have said that. He's not the only one.
Yeah.
So it's up to
Nocturnals and some terrible shambles. Sykes at the event, my man, consumed quite a few.
Sykes was drunk as shit.
Yeah.
Me and Sykes
saw him
both
tweet.
drank way too much.
Did he tweet?
He's like, I've been drinking. What's up?
And it turned from that to, I played so bad, it's all my fault. Fallout conversations. I feel for them. Let's talk roster changes, though. It's a big discussion. We have year 4 around the corner. Let's talk roster changes.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Which teams make roster changes?
I don't think NRG should, depending on how much time is between the next Pro League, right? I mean, the Nathan shoes are really hard to fill if they're fillable at all. On top of that, you have to work with Sweet. I mean, we had Walsey saying it was the worst vibes he's ever heard ever, right? Like, it's not just people you can just slot in and say good luck and it'll work, right? So I hope NRG don't make a roster change. I think they're a phenomenal team. And then, I mean, the obvious ones to touch on after that, you guys touch on NRG, but after that, 100 Thieves, Complexity. Who was right next to them? There was someone right next to them in like 15th, 16th.
Oxygen.
I don't think
I don't
Oxygen
think
make
they
a
make-
change. I don't think they should either.
Me either.
They're so tight.
Unless someone gets poached, that's the only thing.
A lot of people saying roster mania is going to hit, but honestly, I
is.
don't know how hard it will hit this time. I think you're right. NRG stays. I mean, unless Nathan quits.
No, it's gonna
Nathan's
hit.
too young to quit. Nathan's too good to quit. He's just so. He goes MIA, doesn't play the game for a while. I don't
I
understand.
think a lot of NA teams underperform this event compared to usual, so there is going to be a bigger roster mania.
Yeah,
100 Thieves is the biggest, without a question.
yeah. I've already heard some things. I definitely think this is going to be a roster mania. I think we've already proven it as well that we have some of the most bad mentals as well when it comes to tough losses, and I think some people might overreact in this situation. Maybe they had a tough day. They didn't make a certain qual they wanted to have. I mean, they're a phenomenal team, but maybe they overreact, take it away. They shouldn't, long term. But
I hope one team I hope stays the same is XSET. They played really bad, obviously, but I hope
think they will.
You think they'll stay the same?
This
Nocturnal.
is one
I don't
bad
know what's kind of
performance compared to so much consistency in that fucking roster.
Yeah, so much consistency.
Just top 5 in everything. For the
a
last
good
year.
one is Complexity.
Since champs last year,
Yeah.
Since champs last year, complexity is a big discussion point. You're saying?
I think a super big one. I think Complexity is definitely a roster where they could look to maybe poach someone like Koi or go in maybe a different direction, pick up maybe a second
Who
controller.
you replace
player
on
or
that
slot in
complexity?
someone else.
Snap down.
You don't think so,
Eric? Who do you replace?
Koi going to Complexity is the most lateral move ever for Koiful. It doesn't help. I don't think there's any consistency in how they play the game as a team. I mean,
So you're pretty much saying blow up the Complexity roster. There's no one that can go there.
I mean, that's.
Are you saying you're going to steal
Okay,
Koi?
hold on.
I think he's
No.
saying that Koi would
I'm gonna
go to a better team.
I'm just
There'd be
gonna
a bigger
lay this
suitor.
out. Yeah, I'm saying Koi would get poached by a better team. It'd be pointless for him to go to Complexity. Complexity has to pay a buyout for him, and then salaries are probably going to be somewhat the same. Like it's not. That's not worth. If you look at Complexity, they got They got the spot at LAN and Champs because of Phony.
Yeah.
They didn't earn that. Like Luda and Cody took the pro points from the first LAN, which guaranteed them to be at Champs. They didn't make finals last event. They didn't make finals this event. They got 20th.
Damn.
So
That's
overall,
if
you look at this,
maybe less
they
than lateral move.
lost their IGL and they never made or even came close to touching finals.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Phony getting them to LAN, they very much potentially would not be here.
I'm just gonna go ahead and call it right now. Quote me, Apex Legends community and people. Koiful gets picked up. If Nathan quits by NRG, joins Gildersons and Sweet, they become a very, very, very good team. If Nathan is quitting.
Well, here's the question though, because Nathan and Sweet have said for many times that if one of them
one,
retires,
the other
that
one
they will,
does,
the
yeah.
other will retire as well. So if Nathan retires, will Sweet?
I can see Sweet retiring too.
I
Which
just
is
see
sad.
Sweet retiring.
That breaks my
I
heart.
don't think so, bro. That guy's actually really fucking good. If
He is really
retires,
good.
that'd be a
I
mistake.
feel like he wouldn't, even
thought-
if Nathan does.
It's a big mistake.
I don't think he would. I think Sweet will keep playing, but
That'd be a
I
mistake.
do think it would. I think it's crossed his mind before. So I don't think the
I think
question's
it's
out
hard,
of
man.
mind.
Look,
I don't think
guys, I'm not gonna lie. I talked to Hal in Sweden a year and a half ago, and Hal was questioning retirement at that time. Look,
they all do.
They all do because here's the
so
thing.
many people
It's not just
Zero
their
said
mentals
he
are horrible.
was
It's
contemplating.
yeah, exactly. Zero. Their mentals are terrible, but also think about Hal and Sweet. They both are chilling with massive streams. Can just chill and enjoy life with their girlfriends and travel and stream, and it's a tempting thing. So Sweet with this performance, with the ups and downs of competing, Hal and Sweet are built different. I think that's why Hal would never retire. But
it's the competitive itch, man. I mean, we could be as PR as we want, as political as we want, bro. There's no way in a million years Hal is competing for any other reason than he loves competing. And same with Sweet. They're making like double, triple, probably even more the money streaming than they are competing.
But does Sweet have the same competitive itch that Hal does? To be great, to be
I don't
this,
think
to be
it's
that.
the same.
I don't think anyone does.
I don't think it's the same,
no,
but I don't think that I can't see either of them wanting to be a content creator full time.
I think Sweet needs to be more
I can.
confrontational.
More confrontational? Did you
Wait,
say
wait,
more?
like less passive aggressive,
Yeah, yeah.
more. I know what you mean.
Less passive,
I
less
understand.
passive aggressive, like,
Assertive, more assertive.
Fucking hash it out, like let it on the table.
I had those
'Cause,
same issues when I teamed
because
them.
Sweet will be passive aggressive and like
Team of them. People don't remember that. You teamed us for Rogue.
I've played with people who are passive aggressive, and it just builds up this like animosity.
That's a good one.
It's like-
Eric is the only one here that's played
Yeah.
with him, right?
Yeah.
You know, Eric,
No,
talk-
I was making a
You
joke.
just gotta
that
be
we wanted
straight
to-
up.
Eric, you're the one that's played with him, talking about playing with Sweet. Do you agree with that statement?
I mean, I wish Sweet didn't play the game when I teamed with him.
That's the problem.
So that's where like my whole counter calling thing started. We were like the best team in the game at one point. Like we were so good on that team, and Sweet just stopped playing the game. And that's the difference between Sweet and Hal. Hal doesn't take breaks.
Yeah.
He didn't even want to extend
To
his
go to
stay
Greece.
in
Yeah.
Greece.
I know.
Because he's like, I need to get back in stream. I'm like, motherfucker, like
2 days, you're in
are
Greece.
doing
Go
very
to
well
Athens.
for yourself. Like take some time off. Champs is over. Like your stream will be there when you get back. It's not going to die out.
He's built different. And
but-
it's,
Yeah, I mean the Sweet and I got. I mean, you know how I am. Like,
Yeah.
I can handle someone coming at me, but when I feel like I'm being demeaned or like someone's being super passive aggressive towards me, that's when I get like enraged.
You lash out,
I
you
start
know?
to. I lash back. I defend myself. I get really intense, and him and I definitely butted heads. So. I think he found some teammates that don't. Like he doesn't want another teammate like that because it would cause even more turmoil than there might already be. But I do think there is a way that he can go about it that would be more productive for his team. Because I do think that like not everyone can handle that type of. And I mean maybe that had a fact with the 0-0-1 0-point games
That's what I was
back to
saying.
back to back to
The
back.
vibes.
Like vibes are so important, and I think that that's something that my tenure in the scene is unnoticed because it's the intangibles that can really elevate your team to the next level that people will never see.
Do you think a coach can do that and fill the direct role?
It can
Or
help.
does
They
it
need to
have
be an
to be
assertive coach
the
then.
idea?
Like they need to like.
Because I don't know anything about Shiny, so I don't know
I don't
how
think
he
a coach
coaches.
could do it.
I don't think a coach can
It's
really
a
do that.
personality, you know.
Right.
He just needs to fucking
It-
just let it rip. Let it rip. Go back and forth. Let it out. And I think they'll do a lot better.
That's a personality in itself, though, is being able to let it rip instead of being like built up passive aggressive. They're just different things. I think the only way you see him like blow up like that and they hash out instantly is if someone could almost alpha him in a sense, like bring it up with him, like, yo, motherfucker, that's not cool. Let's knock this out, you know? Let's get mad, let's get frustrated, let's build, and then, you know, 5 minutes later, we're fucking teammates, let's fucking win, you know? That would definitely be healthy,
Put the gloves on and then let's fucking play.
yeah, exactly. You know, I think I'm not sure if Shiny's that person that can do that for them, but I definitely think a coach is absolutely, undoubtedly, a step in the right direction for it.
But it's a very specific personality of a coach, like someone who's gonna make that happen. Like, hey guys, this is happening. There's passive aggressiveness. These are the mistakes that are happening. Let's talk about it. Let's hash it out before we go into this next game. Because the fact that we just got to win and then follow that up by 0 and 1 points, like we need to figure something out, right? So it's not any coach. It has to be someone that has that specific personality. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes. Roster moves.
Roster moves. Back to the complexity conversation. I think at the point of the show, we talk about everything, as much love as we all have for Monsoon. Do you think Monsoon's a problem on that team? Phony to Monsoon, the difference from that ESA roster being what they were to now?
This guy was saying, in a very nicely manner, he was saying, like, you know, changes might need to be made in many directions because it seemed like Phony was doing the vast majority of the heavy lifting. Apex is all about making like good calls. Mechanical skill is super good, don't get me wrong, but it's all about the calls you make at the end of the day. And you know, Phony was providing that, and he's no longer there, and it's bad.
I think I'm gonna elaborate on that a little bit. I think the difference between Phony and Monsoon is Phony is not afraid to give you an earful if you're making mistakes. Monsoon is
too good of a person
in chat saying, "Let's have some fun in 20th place," and I'm like, "That's not me."
Yeah.
Like
No.
I'm
No
the
way.
polar opposite of that. Like I'm not here at this event to have fun.
Right.
I'm here to win a tournament. I'm not. None of the people I'm competing against are my friends when I'm in game with them. Like I'm cool with you as soon as the games are over. But like, this is a death match when it comes to.
If
this
I see you in the
comp scene.
bathroom between
I'm
games-
sorry if I'm 20th and my teammate. if I'm in 20th and my teammate is saying let's have some fun, like I'm fucking pissed. I'm
mad
so
at them for
mad.
typing that, yeah.
I'm so mad that that's even being typed in the
Bro,
chat. That like
we're literally in the walkout, and this guy fucking enemy is like, "Yeah, I think we'll play 6 today." I'm like, "Come on, bro! Like, what the fuck? Don't hit me with that."
Oh my
No,
gosh.
there's time for fun, and there's time for like locking it the fuck in, and I think replacing Phony with Monsoon is just a completely different. I agree with Snipe. It's a completely different dynamic, and I don't know. We'll have to see what complexity does.
Since we got the dudes here, if you can swap them and it isn't a lateral swap, who do you swap and for who? I mean, there is a huge free agent market in NA right now. Think we also are NA, so and they do have big orgs, right? So they might be able to get players from overseas. And then on top of that, Naughty, there's so many free agents that are poachable. Who does complexity get? Who do they replace, if anyone at all?
Probably Zachmazer. I heard that guy's got a fucking huge brain. They need that fucking giga brain on that fucking squad.
I'm happy. I'm really happy with my current roster. That's
It's hard because we don't know their internal dynamic. We don't know if it's a Cody. I think Luda's that. I'm just gonna say this. I think Luda is that guy personally. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think he is.
Well, I want to add. I don't think that any of them individually are the problem. I think that they just don't work together. Like
agree.
we talk about Phony.
Luda and Monsoon are very different people.
I think Phony works with Luda because Phony can micro Luda, and Luda, like Phony has said many times, that Luda will get tunnel vision sometimes, and Phony can call him out of that and make sure that he's not locked into those moments. And so I just think that Monsoon and Luda don't work. I don't know how Cody fits into that mix of that team. I just don't feel like all three fully mesh. And so I don't think it's like you replace one person with Koifel and the roster works. Like I think
you think it's like environmental. Like you have to build on who the leader of the team is and continue that environment, or you need to go a different direction with the team type situation.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
I don't think that Monsoon is going to micro Luda to the point to where he can highlight all of Luda's strengths. I think that you need to find people that fit with Monsoon, basically, if you're going to build around Monsoon.
That's a good point. That's fair.
It doesn't feel like there's like a growth path for them.
Right.
When they first teamed, it doesn't feel like they flatlined the whole way. It doesn't feel like they ever improved from where they were at the beginning. And I don't know if that's just the lack of like accountability or what goes on there. But I mean, there is a clear structural issue with that roster. But I think we can probably move on.
Yeah, we can.
From
Complexity. Yeah, that'll be part of Roster Mania. Them, the 100 Thieves roster, obviously. Koifel as a absolute gem and an asset. What's going to happen there? Again, we talked about it yesterday. We all thought that Koifel should stay on Sentinels, and that team. Oh, actually, I don't know if we all did. I thought that team should stick together. They showed some really good things this weekend. I'd be heartbroken if Arcan, the diversity he's gone through his career, loses and he gets poached or taken. It's gonna be a high buyout though, knowing Sentinel situation.
Deltu should, please, for the love of God, please get drinks.
What did he say? Getting the what?
I brought him. Nobody else
He
wanted
finished
him.
it.
Finish what? Getting you drinks? That's
Please,
adult.
for
That's
the love of
adult
God, get
contra-
some drinks up there.
I drank so much at the stadium, I need to come down.
This guy was literally 9 out of 10 drunk when we started the show.
No, when the show started, it was counting down from 10, and it started, and I was sitting here blasting 21 Savage. He
I'm
goes,
like,
turn it off,
I'm like,
bro.
bro,
Started. I'm like,
that's
what?
why the zero timer was out for that long. Deltush, this is what
fucked.
happens when you're not at these tournaments, you mother, you know what? We need the Touche vibes returning to Apex Lands in 2024 and year 4. Next topic of discussion is Deltush get to travel and do watch parties.
I can say this. I spoke with
He tweeted about
I won't
watch
say who.
parties and said he instantly regretted it the next
Did
day.
he say that?
Yeah, he literally posted on
that's
Instagram
fucked.
that he regretted.
Did he do
posting-
one today?
I don't know.
for like a couple games.
He did
for a
not do
couple
it, I
games.
swear to God, man.
He tweeted that he was going to do it for a couple games, and then he was going to watch football. I did speak with one of the lead, I guess, communications people. I definitely, it was a long conversation. I definitely made the best case I possibly could for the boy, but I don't know if we're getting any Deltush watch parties officially.
He did text me.
Here's the
Which is
thing.
unfortunate.
I'm gonna listen. Here's the thing. He's gonna hate me for saying this because I think he can clarify in the chat if he wants. I think it's really really unfortunate that Apex has pushed Deltuche away, and by Apex I mean big Apex, greater Apex. Given the fact that he's been blacklisted.
Well, that was the case. That was the case I made for him.
They have 100.
He's done so much for the competitive scene.
He's done so much for this competitive scene, for the community. He brings such a personality and entertainment. At the end of the day, I don't think he's the person that he's been painted out to be. Is my personal take on that. So for us to grow, for our community to grow, I think we need that level of entertainment, and it's really unfortunate what's happened.
It won't happen.
It won't happen. Sounds like you've had a conversation, so that's interesting.
I've talked about it many times. It feels like he's like the stepson, you know?
The stepson.
He's the Apex fucking stepson.
Please don't tell me
you never know, though. You never know. Hopefully we're all wrong. Hopefully
they got
we're all
stuck in
wrong.
the dryer. No, I'm kidding. He got like, you know, they popped off with Wig. I love Wig to death, but like him and Wig were both fucking phenomenal casters, and like he just got, you know, pushed. He got brushed to the side because he wasn't.
And I don't think
he
he cares.
wasn't as like brand friendly.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think he cares, but I think objectively it's tragic for the scene is the reality in terms of the opportunity to bring entertainment, help the scene grow, bring promotion to the scene. So interesting stuff. We're covering everything, a gamut of topics here. Obviously, LGS post discussion and the like. Boys, it's Sunday night. You just got fourth place.
We go. I need to eat and get
sixth place.
Get some drinks.
That was the biggest thing. We were not going to do the show because we're like, we don't. Obviously, everyone wants to celebrate, and I don't think we're going to get any players on. These two both joined. Shout out to them. Apex community, we hope you understand. It's time to hang out with the Apex community. We're about to be hanging out for an entire week in Greece. It's going to be a fantastic time. AJ, you were fucking awesome, and then Dezignful joined, and you couldn't get a word in because this guy talks so much. These two, especially.
He was the one competing.
I want to say, Jhawk, it's been a pleasure to have you. The information that you are able to provide that I'm not like familiar with other teams and other regions is a blessing to have on this, and I'm very happy that you joined. And I think a lot of people in the stream were happy to have someone that is as knowledgeable as you are.
I gave him actually I didn't even slide into teams. I gave him a phone call. I said, "Hey, you guys just lost EZ. I think your next coach should be AyeJHawk." True or false? True or false? Did I not say that? Your next coach should be AyeJHawk. Analyst coach.
Yeah, you did actually.
He was watching my Lanimals video and he goes, "You guys need an analyst or something?"
He said that.
He's like, "You ever thought about being an analyst?" And I was like, "I don't know, sure, maybe."
What are you saying?
I said, "We'll take it. We need an analyst."
Yeah.
There you go. This is your guy. This is your guy. Bam.
Red Bull,
AyeJHawk to
Red Bull
Dojo.
sponsored
Maybe 100
athlete,
Thieves one
coach.
day. Confirmed. Last final statement, boys. Let's wrap up. Final words. Wrapping up the ALGS Championship. No, this is not like the State of Apex thing. This is just like final thoughts, final words. Wrapping up Apex. Design, starting with you, brother. Actually, I'll tee you up for a question. What, Timmy? We didn't talk about Timmy a lot. We talked about Dojo.
He's here to stay.
He's here to stay.
Of course.
One of the best stories we had this tournament.
Of course.
Quick one.
It was a good story.
He's that guy. He's good, huh?
The boys are not happy with the way that this chapter ended, but we're ready to start the next one.
Cheers. Fourth place.
I could drink to that shit.
How much did you win? How much money did you win?
I have no idea.
He doesn't even know. Fourth
I
place.
didn't come here
like,
for the money.
I respect that. That's true.
60.
That's Dezignful to a T. Snip3down, you're sad in sixth place. Are you happy or not that you enjoyed some time with the boys here? Thoughts on the weekend? Thoughts on doing the show every night and the overall experience?
I mean, I'm happy I did the show because, I mean, we qualified. If we didn't, this would have been a lot different of an experience. I mean, I can't imagine. If you think I was sad when I first got up here, you probably wouldn't have seen me at all before. So happy we did this. Happy that we had an amazing team. The production has been phenomenal. I never expected this to turn into what it has, and I hope you all have been enjoying it home. The last thing I want to say is we didn't really talk much about LG.
Yeah.
That team is... I never want to fight that team. They're on our rotate next to us, Fish Farms and we land Launchpad. That team is one of the best fighting teams in the game. I don't think they get enough credit. A lot of times they win. People are like, "Oh, you got Fish Farm zones, you got this and that," but that's the luck of the draw. Like that's just what happens. TSM got wall zone, everything. So in terms of fighting power, I mean that team is one of the best teams in the game. So shout out to them, and you guys killed it. And thank you guys for enjoying this experience with us. So. That's it for me.
Amen.
Also, they want a countdown zone. I do want to add that. In finals, LG won a countdown zone. They were not blessed by it. There you go.
He stole my point, so I'm a little pissed. Fuck him. Is what it is. LG is unbelievable. We didn't get to talk about them. That is a bummer. We didn't get to talk too much about Optic. Yes,
Respect
I did
on their
fucking
name. That's
call it.
14.
I did call it. I was the only one on the whole desk yesterday that called it. And
told you
I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that.
Told you.
Cheers to LG, cheers to Optic, congrats to TSM. I hope you guys had a fun weekend with all of us, and that's all I have.
Amen. AJ.
Hell of an experience. LAN was amazing. Like I said at the beginning, if you haven't been to a LAN, you absolutely have to go to one. The result, the fact that TSM won 3 games in a row, crazy. But the story has been settled. Everybody talked about DZ versus TSM coming in.
It's been settled, and I truly hope that next year we get some more champions, because although I do agree it's not bad for the scene, I do think that there needs to be some new storylines to
Spice it up.
to spice it up.
True that. All right, and I'll wrap up just my final thoughts. Look, in my heart, it might be, not to take a turn for the worse, but I might get semi-emotional. It was a hard weekend for me because the first ALGS champs not casting. I freaking love casting Apex more than anything. It's my purest joy and happiness. So coming here and not being part of that broadcast team was a crazy, just weird, bittersweet thing. But I love doing the show. This is a lot of fun. And it's hard. I invested a lot of personal time and money to come here and fly myself out to make it to this. And Eric, thank you for being willing to do this every single night. I know it's hard to do as a player. So grateful to you. Grateful to the entire community for being so loving this weekend, and everyone in person that came and gave love, and all the tweets and everyone online. I'm so thankful to each and every one of y'all. But it's been a lot of fun transitioning into kind of a new chapter. As much as I love casting, I think Apex needs more of this in my eyes. It needs more content. It needs more opportunities for y'all to hear directly from the source, to help build your storylines, to build your brands. And I think at the end of the day, our scene can grow significantly. And I always say it, but we could be a 10, 15, 20-year esport if we bring more of that level of entertainment, excitement, and I'm excited to continue transitioning into that role and doing more to help and give back. Because at the end of the day, I love casting, but I've done it for 15 years. Get married soon, and it's going to be fun transitioning into a new role for Apex and in esports. So grateful to y'all for giving me the chance and for supporting the stream. Thank you so much to everyone that blows this stuff up on Spotify, on YouTube, and that retweets and spreads the word. The goal is we have ambitious and bold plans for this product and this broadcast to help grow Apex and to do even more beyond that. So we can't do it without your support. So I don't know how many people are in here, but however many people are watching, thank you for tuning in all weekend long. We hope you enjoyed the content. And of course, to every single person here, thank you for taking the time. Dezignful 2 nights, Zach almost every single night, Eric every single night. And I'd be insane if I did not thank Jacob, aka AyeJHawk, who's right here, delivering us waters, but way more important, one of the most talented producers in esports. He is remarkable. He does it for Riot Games and League of Legends, and on his own volition came because he loves this shit. He just wanted to do something cool, and our broadcast was leveled up like crazy. So please do a round of applause here in the room for Jacob, for Chrono Creative, B-Nick, all the way from Minnesota, who's so passionate, adjusted his sleep schedule, and busted his ass to be part of this broadcast. And of course, Bella and Spacement, aka Serena, our entire team. There's a team of people that work their asses off to upload things right away and make it great content. So all the love is appreciated. Thank you to everybody. Say something?
Yeah, last thing is just I got tons of subs and support on this stream, and I know I'm not able to thank every single one of you, but it doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you guys honestly so much for just supporting this in the stream, and just as always, we love you guys.
Eric is paying for every single drink of mine.
He's paying for drinks.
In this upcoming experience.
I owe you.
No, he owes me drinks. That is true. Let's go. Bro. I'm balding, but that doesn't mean that you're not a dickhead, bro. Thank you for that.
I love you, buddy. All right, wait. On behalf of myself, AyeJHawk, Zachmazer, Snip3down, Dezignful. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We appreciate y'all so damn much. Apex community is honestly the best damn community. Apex esports, the best damn esport, most hype esport. It showed tonight. TSM, your champions of the ALGS, back-to-back wins with their backs against the wall, proving that they are the undisputed dynasty in Apex Legends.
All right, take a breath, buddy. Take a breath.
We love y'all. We're going to have some fun tonight. Thanks so much for supporting everybody. Have a great night yourselves, a great day wherever you are. We'll catch you for the next episode of After Hours, back in our homes, in our boxes on screen. Have a good night, everybody. Take it easy.
Good night.